We are live, everyone. Joseph, you can introduce the show because technically this will be going on your show tomorrow. But welcome, everyone.
Let's go. It's your host, Joseph Kamperman from the Long Jawn podcast with co-host, the Kamper Report. Benjamin Kamperman, my brother, also the creator of the one and only, the one true the Kamper Report. Check it out on all your socials. We'll do a shout out at the end of the show. Welcome. This is going to be an exciting segment. I am incredibly excited to go live face to face for the first time on the Long Jawn podcast. And I'll let Benjamin kick off this segment. Well, how are you doing today? And thanks for joining me.
I mean, this is going to be, we're doing a full first round. If you guys don't know, full first round mock draft. Obviously in a second, we'll get it kicked off. There's going to be so much to talk about today. Very excited to get this one going. And man, oh man, the draft is in 4 weeks and we're getting into these prospects and it's going to get more and more intriguing, but man, I'm excited to see how the top 10 shakes out and just everything shakes out. Real quick, guys, if you guys are on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel because then you can drop a comment. Then you can comment on the video.
Yes.
We already have Grandizer in here. Wait, real quick. Sorry guys. I zoomed up my screen and so I can't really see the comments that well because they're really small. Hill Ho lads, Jojo and Ben. Wait, Hill Ho? Is that what it says?
I think you meant to say hi ho, lads.
Hi ho. Yeah. I might need a zoom. Hold on. Let me just quickly do this. Okay. Anyways, guys, this is the mock draft. Thank you for tuning in. But we'll obviously before we start, do you have any thoughts on before we?
Yeah, I'll go over the sort of the structure and the format of this mock draft.
So Benjamin and I were, go ahead.
When Benjamin and I were putting together this mock draft, we said, how can we do this where it's like the most real life scenario of general managers talking to other teams saying, look, here's my pitch. This is why I want to move up. So the way we've told it is prior to the show, Benjamin and I have picked even and odd picks. I will be the even picks. Benjamin will be the odd picks. So, of course, he's up first with the Carolina picks. If I want to make a trade with Benjamin, I pause it and say, hey, I'd like to make a trade. I am this pick. I'd like to make a trade with you. Benjamin has the opportunity to do the same with me on his pick. If he wants to make a trade with one of my picks, he can make a trade with one of my picks, but it's got to make sense compensation-wise. So I could ultimately reject his trade. And if he's wanting to make a pick, let's say pick 1 through with pick 7, those are both his picks. He could ultimately work out the trade details himself. So it's a cool way for us to basically be able to talk. And I think this is going to be really fun. And we'll start with a more in-depth picks 1 through 15 and Spitfire picks 15 through 31.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. But guys, again, we'll have obviously preventing this to go too long. We'll have like a 3-minute segment on each pick. Maybe you'll get less and less as it maybe 4-minute on the top picks and then less and less, as you said. Grandizer says jump into it. Other show starts at 7. Let's go. Okay. And then Ben needs his glasses. Yes. Let's see how the 49ers would draft. We're not going to be doing 49ers. Unfortunately, my team does not.
We may.
Okay. Well, you have a trade up. I don't have actually too many trades late in that round. I do think that Miami could trade into the first round. In one of my mock drafts, I did have Miami trading into the first round with the Eagles. So we'll see with that one. I'll have to go back and look at that one. But let's start with the first pick. On the clock, guys, in the chat, let me know if you guys can see the screen all right. I don't know how good you guys can see it, but I think you can see at least some of the words. Hopefully you can make it out. Just let us know in the comments. But let's get into it right now. So obviously the consensus pick, I'll be controlling the screen here. The consensus pick we have is CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. Who do you think the Panthers get? Or do you think the Panthers trade down? I mean, I'm obviously number 1. on this pick because obviously I have the odd numbers and you have the even numbers. So I'm going to go number 1 here. I think as much as I like Bryce Young, I still think it's going to be CJ Stroud, man. I mean,
I agree
last
with you.
year he had 3,600, more than 3,600 yards, 41 TDs, 6 interceptions. That is incredible.
Yeah,
And then in
lights out.
2021, he was even better, 44 TDs, 6 interceptions. But I will say that the level of talent that CJ Stroud was playing with his last year at Ohio
Yes,
State was more than what Bryce
correct.
Young. Because
Correct.
CJ Stroud had Njigba. CJ Stroud had one other receiver that's going to be really good, I think, going into the draft next year. He had
Yeah,
Marvin
Marvin
Harrison.
Harrison Smith
Yep,
Jr.
Marvin Harrison, one of the best receivers in the country. That guy is a beast. He shredded Michigan when we played
Yeah.
him. But again, I think Bryce Young plays more of a NFL ready offense,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
CJ Stroud is more of a spread offense, not as many calls that he makes himself at the line. So I think if you're looking for a guy who maybe can make some calls at the line, more of a pro style offense, you're looking at Bryce Young. But I think CJ Stroud here. And the other distinguishing thing, I mean, obviously Bryce Young is size. I think if you're under pressure in the pocket, I think CJ Stroud is going to make that big throw and take a hit.
Yeah.
Bryce Young will probably tend to fade away and probably avoid and save his
He
body. So I
does
think
he does have
pocket
good pocket
passing,
passer pocket
yeah.
presence though. I agree with you. I think it's an interesting one. If I'm pick 4, I am approaching the Panthers right now with a pick and I am asking to trade up to pick 1 with my Colts pick. I
Okay.
think the Colts approach the Panthers and trade. So if you want to go to your
Okay.
trade
Yeah.
key,
Let's go to trade.
so I'm going to trade you this year's first round for this year's first round, a
Okay.
like for like swap.
Hold on. So we've got Indianapolis right here. Okay. And then let's get down to the picks.
And I'm
So
going to trade
on
you
the right
this
side,
year's
or it would be probably left side for you guys. It's
No, it's
Panthers.
right side.
Right side. Okay. It's Panthers, and then left side is Colts. So,
Correct.
um,
So I'm trading pick 4 I'm trading pick 4 for pick 1, and then I'm going to add a first round pick next year and a
okay.
second
Ooh.
round pick next year.
Ooh.
So the Panthers get back quite a bit of the picks. They only dropped to pick 4, and that is
And
my
a second
trade.
round pick next year?
Correct. It's a lot. They're having to move up
Oh my
next year.
gosh. Well, I mean,
You're gonna have
yeah.
to force a straight. Look, they're moving up 4 picks to get the guy
Yeah.
who's arguably the best quarterback in the draft. That's my trade, and the question is, do you accept it? You can force this
Wow,
trade, or
that's a
do you?
lot
You
of.
can,
I think I would say
like I said,
yes.
everyone. To
I would
preface
accept.
this, Benjamin doesn't know what I'm doing. We did not talk about this before the show. This
No.
is very critical because we are playing the roles of general managers here. So you can choose to accept or reject this trade, and can more than
Again,
likely reject it.
I think you're the Panthers. I've always liked Anthony Richardson on the Panthers. I talked to a Panthers fan, Country Kev, which I think you'll probably have on your channel sooner or later.
Yeah,
Country
hopefully.
Kev from the Panthers. He said that he really liked Anthony Richardson. He would pick him first if he wanted to.
There's some rumors that he could go first overall, and I think if you're the Panthers and you trade back, you have a real chance of getting one of those top 3 quarterbacks, and to me, they've all got to be on your
My
draft
question
board,
is, do you go back up to number 3? Because somebody could jump you. I mean, the Cardinals are going to be looking
someone
to
could
trade
jump
down.
you. Well, yes,
Because
I
here's the
could
thing:
see
if the
that.
Cardinals trade down, they still get one of the top defenders. You don't need to
So
stay in
you
number
can
3.
choose to reject the trade ultimately, because if you feel like the Panthers want
could
to
get
get
the 4th quarterback.
so
Okay, for the pick compensation, man, for
and
round
obviously we
1
do have a
and
time
2.
limit, so
Okay, I'll accept it. I'll accept it because
you're gonna have to force the
force this
trade though.
trade. Yeah, force it. What? Hold on. What? No. What? Why
Wait,
is
did you
this not
click pick 4? You should be able to force the trade.
for? Yeah. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, force trade.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
now I'm
now
on the clock.
Indianapolis Colts are at number 1. Who have you
Now I
got
have
here?
a decision to make. Do I pick Bryce Young or do I pick CJ Stroud? And if I am Shane Steichen, I'm picking CJ Stroud. I like the intangibles. I think he's the closest player comparison to Jalen Hurts. He could have a higher ceiling than Hurts. And I'm Shane Steichen, and I'm picking a player who I like his intangibles. I think Bryce Young is probably a smarter QB. Not a knock at all to CJ Stroud. I think he's, like you said, a more NFL ready QB, but I am going CJ Stroud with this pick.
Okay. Let me get it here.
I think the
CJ
next
Stroud.
pick should be pretty obvious.
Yeah, so next pick, this is kind of how I shook it out. We've got Bryce Young here.
Well, and this is my pick, but I
okay.
also
Oh,
agree
yeah.
with that.
My bad.
You're good. You're good.
Wait,
Yep, Bryce Young
I
is
just
my
picked
pick.
him for you. My bad.
You're good. You're good.
You had
my
him,
pick
right?
is my pick. Yes, my pick would be Bryce Young. This is an obvious one. I think that the Texans could fear that another team is going to overtake them to pick one, and so there's a real chance you could see a scenario where the Texans actually trade with the Panthers. I don't think it would happen. Well, if the Panthers fake like they're getting Bryce Young, I'm a firm believer that the Texans, that is their guy. But they land him at number 2, and I'll give it to you at number 3.
Okay. Number 3, I've got a trade that might surprise a few people. I'm going to go Lions. I was going to go Colts trading up to number 3 from number 4. That's what I did in my latest mock draft that I was just playing around with. I had the Colts trading up from 4 to 3 to get Anthony Richardson. I think there's a lot of teams vying for that number 3 spot. I think the Raiders could be, the Lions could be, the Falcons could be. So those 3 teams. So I think before you made that trade up to number 1, I think that I was preparing for the Colts to trade up to number 3 for the Cardinals pick, and the Cardinals to trade down to number 4 for the Colts to secure that pick. But now that they traded up to number 1, I'm going to probably have to say the Lions jump everyone. They make a surprising pick. Wow. I think if the Lions can get Anthony Richardson and they can get, because here's the thing, the Lions have they have 5 picks in the top 80 right now. So I think the Lions can outbid every team out there. So I'm going to do Lions trade up to pick number 3. Let me look here.
What are you giving me? Because you got to propose me a good trade. This has got to make sense.
So I'm going to do 6 for 3, obviously. 6 for 3. I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to give you not my pick number 18. I'm going to do pick number 48. And then I'm going to do round 3 next year. And then another round 3 this year for a pick swap. So I'm going to do another round 3 this year for a round 4 of your pick next year.
And I'm going to want a second round pick from that. I just don't see, if you're moving up 4 spots in the draft in the first 5 picks, you are giving up either a second or a first round. I would not be surprised if the Lions gave up that pick 18.
So this is my final offer. 6 for 3, 48. The Lions give you 48 and 81 of this draft, plus a 3rd round pick of next draft in exchange for pick number 3 and round 4 of next draft. So it's basically
I think I would want, if I'm the Lions, I'm sending that 2nd round pick instead of that 3rd round pick next year.
Next year?
That's the only way I'm making this trade.
Okay. So
that's the only way I'm making this trade. Yeah.
Wow.
And I honestly think that a 1st round pick could be involved in that pick. I'm telling you, you jump 4 players to take the 3rd best quarterback in the draft, you're going to get him.
Yeah, so here I have Anthony Richardson.
We've already got,
I mean, Anthony Richardson, man, is just, what can I, like, here's the thing. He is the most talent that I've ever seen. I compare him to Trey Lance a lot, but I don't think he even is. I think he has more talent than Trey Lance even.
I agree.
I
think he could be overhyped with the wrong coaching, but
yeah,
I just don't know if he falls in the right coaching if he lands at Detroit. But I think this is an iffy one.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Well, and it's just like, you get to sit under Jared Goff. This will give kind of Campbell a little bit of a project to develop. And again, I said it. I think Anthony Richardson, the reason why that team went 5-7 last year at Florida was because Anthony Richardson you didn't have really any receivers. Look at there's no running backs or receivers that are top players. The only guy that is actually going to go in the 1st round for Florida this year is O'Cyrus Torrence, which we'll get into later. I think he's going to go late 1st round. He's a beast of a guard. So right guard. So I think he was kind of a product of the system.
I
But
will
yeah,
say I would not. I would if I were the Lions. I still think they're gonna have to give up more. And in Grandizer 12 in the chat says no
yeah.
way.
Let
The only
me
two.
get to the chat a little bit. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, go no. Flip to Grandizer Jones' third comment.
Okay. This one.
Nope. Next one. That one. There we go.
Okay. No way. The only two players the Lions would have up for it is either Jalen Carter or Will Anderson Jr. They got Goff for another year. Yeah.
I think that this is a very solid take. I think that the Lions move for Richardson if Richardson isn't picked in the first 3 picks.
Okay.
In the first 4 picks, sorry. Like I could see the Lions move if Richardson goes number 1 overall, which there are some rumors that he could. I don't know if the Lions would move up for a guy like Stroud or Young, and it's not because he's not worth it. It's just I'm curious to see whether the Colts would move up to pick 3. Like if Richardson goes pick 1 and then Bryce Young goes pick 2, would the Panthers move up to pick 3 to make sure they get CJ Stroud? And I could if in this scenario, if Colts pick number 1. But anyways, we'll move to pick number 3. And who are you picking with your pick?
Well, you make an intriguing point. I probably need to speed this up a little bit. Do you think? Because again, they're ahead of the Panthers and the Seahawks, so they realistically could go Will Anderson or Jalen Carter here.
They could, and for what they gave
but you
up,
don't make this move for a run.
This
move for a defensive
I think for
lineman.
what they gave
Richardson.
up, yeah, I support that. Even though I think it's crazy. So I'm at pick 4, and I'm the Panthers.
Yeah,
but this is actually your pick.
Where are
so
you
who
going?
Are they picking? Well,
so you've got Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, but their needs are wide receiver, tight end. I think they could. Sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. QB, wide receiver, edge.
This is your pick, so you ultimately pick. I think.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true.
They're going with a quarterback, right? We'll see.
They have a high. Well, hold on. What picks do they now have? Real quick, I just want to quickly look. They have pick number. They could realistically get Hendon Hooker, who is a underrated underrated quarterback with number 39. I think they wait and they get a.
Whoa,
well, here's the thing. Hendon Hooker, he was a top player before he had that big injury. So it's like, do you want obviously Will Levis? I don't think Will Levis. This is just too high of a place to pick. I believe Will Levis and Hendon Hooker.
Make your pick, man. You're the general manager. The weight is on you.
Okay, well, let me go Will Anderson here. Wow. They need an edge. Yeah, let me go Will Anderson. Because here's the thing. Will Anderson impresses me in 2 ways, okay? Will Anderson, speed off of the ball, has elite quickness, has power as well. You're seeing in bull rush guys. The only player that he had trouble against was Tennessee Darnell Wright, right tackle. But he can rush from both sides. Darnell Wright, I think, is going to be one of my top right tackles in this year's draft. But I still think that, I still think that Will Anderson, the only thing he needs to get better at is really just his pass rushing moves, maybe using his hands a little bit better. I said this to you off stream. Nick Bosa, there's nobody compared to Nick Bosa in this draft. All of these guys, I mean, Nick Bosa had insane hands, insane quick hands. None of these guys I see have elite hand traits, but this guy has speed, and you can coach hand skills and hand traits. So edge rushers. So that's why I like Will Anderson at this pick. This is getting out of hand quickly. But who do you have?
Very quickly. And we said this was going to happen.
Yeah. I have Seahawks next.
We may want to remove the chat from the box because I am having a hard time seeing the pick.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go here.
So Seahawks on the Panthers pick. Nation. Who do they go?
Real quick. Panthers Nation podcast covered this. I believe Young is the player the Panthers will most likely go with. Either way, it's Young or Stroud. Okay.
You're not wrong. This was a bold move. We knew we were going to shake things up. Hence the title of Will It Be a Disaster of this show. So.
Okay. Well, so let's go into it. Number 5. again, I said Will Anderson. All the things I said about Will Anderson, I also say about Tyree Wilson. This guy is a little bit top heavy. I could see him actually going defensive tackle and him kind of rotating. Let me go to Tyree Wilson, edge. What in the heck? Okay. Okay, edge. So yeah, let me go to Tyree Wilson. All the things I said about Tyree Wilson, I really, I like about Tyree Wilson and Will Anderson. Tyree Wilson could go defensive tackle because I believe he's 6'6". I can look up his measurables right here. Do you have anything on him though? Because
No,
I need to look up.
I had the Seahawks picking Tyree Wilson as well at this pick. I think that Jalen Carter is an option here, but the question is, do the Seahawks, with their culture, want to bring in a guy like Carter who could pose issues for their locker room? I don't think they will. I think they pass up on him, and I think this is I think this is the right pick here.
Yeah, so I mean, a fast dude, 4.82 for a defensive end / tackle is really good. 6'6", he's 271. His arm length is 96 percentile, 35 and 5/8 inches. So long arms, top heavy guy. The only thing is like I said with Will Anderson, his hands definitely need to improve. But he has a lot of power, and for his size, he is just a freight train. So I like Tyree Wilson at this pick. Look him up, guys. This guy is a beast, and he's going to go far in this league. So, who have you got?
So at pick number 6, I have a choice to make here. I've got, obviously the need for interior offensive line help, and they honestly could go a tackle here as well. They also could go They could also go a corner with Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon both being available. But I'm going to say this. You've got a defensive coordinator. You've got Kyler Murray. You want to protect Kyler Murray, but you also want to strengthen the defense, which was absolutely terrible last year. If Will Anderson would have been available pick 6, I would have no-brainer picked him. I am taking a flyer on Jalen Carter, and I said it check out my weekly news report. Jalen Carter could slip out of the top 10, but because the absolute need for defensive linemen within the top 10, with I would say 70% of the teams needing a defensive lineman, Jalen Carter, I think, is going to be too hard to pass up. He was arguably the consensus number 1 overall player before the issues in January started, and I think they take the flyer on Jalen Carter. I don't think they pick a guy like Elijah Cansey. I do think Elijah Cansey is going to climb up draft boards the more we do this.
Yes.
But I really think at the end of the day, it's going to be Jalen Carter who they pick, and I think they take the flyer on him.
I agree. I think at first I had him dropping all the way to 21 in my first mock draft, but then I looked at his film and wow. That guy,
he's a stud.
I mean, pushes everyone around. It does not matter. So do you want to move on to number 7?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. Yeah, we'll do it. Let's go.
Yeah, real quick. Let's do a comment real quick. But Panthers need a starting caliber quarterback. They signed Andy Dalton, and he is not this year's answer. You sign him hoping he never has to play. They need pass rush, but deep draft at edge.
Yeah,
I agree.
I do too.
But here's my thing. Hendon Hooker, look him up, man. He is a starting level quarterback. Maybe not as good as Bryce Young. Can't throw the arm angles as Bryce Young can. There was a play against, I believe it was.
I'm curious how
Alabama.
Are you saying he's going to slip to the second round? Because I'll tell you right now, they're going to have to trade into the first round to get him. And I will tell you how they're going to have to do that. So we'll see.
Okay. We'll see. I mean, again, I think if they have a chance of getting Hendon Hooker, they will. And again, you can hate on our picks all you want. And honestly, I'm not even sure about what we're doing here. So just bear with us. Bear with us. Anyways,
who do you have?
Drafts are crazy. So pick 7, I have a trade down to my own pick, Tennessee.
Okay.
I think Tennessee really likes Paris Johnson. This guy is a true tackle. Now, I think Paris Johnson will go over Peter Skoronski for a few reasons. Paris Johnson has 36 and 1/8 inch arms, which I'm looking this up right here. Let me just give me a second. I have my notes on my phone. So Paris Johnson has 36 and 1/8 inch arms. That's 92 percentile of left tackles. He ran a 5.05 second 40-yard dash, which is really good for a left tackle of his size. He's 6'6", 313 pounds. He's athletic. He has long arms. And he's a true left tackle. You need that if you're the Titans. I could see them drafting a receiver.
Yeah.
Let's quickly look
But
at
I
the
think that they
receivers.
could get. I think that they could get Njigba Smith.
Yeah.
Sorry, Smith and. I think they could get Jackson Smith and Jigba. At 11, and so I think if they're gonna trade into the top 10, it's gonna be for the tackle to replace the gaping hole that was left by their left tackle. And the name is slipping me now, but I can't think of his name. I'm gonna look it up right here as we speak.
Yeah. But comparing him real quick to Peter Skoronski,
Taylor
there's
Lewan.
a lot of here's the thing. There was a lot of talk that Peter Skoronski already is going to maybe move to left guard. Because
Yes.
And I'll tell you why, but real quick, back to Paris Johnson's measurables or his stats. This guy allowed in his junior year 7 QB hurries and just 2 sacks all year.
That's
and
amazing.
0 QB hits, except from the 2 sacks. So really good stats. And I'll look up, I'll quickly check on Peter Skoronski. This guy, he's good, but he did run a slower 40-yard dash, 5.16 seconds, which is slower than Paris Johnson's at 5.05. He's slightly shorter, 6'4", and his arm length is really worrisome. And this is why a lot of this guy probably will move to guard, because his arm length is 32 1/4 inches, which is in the 9th percentile. So super short arms. I think athletically, Tennessee Titans really like Paris Johnson, and they want to trade ahead of Paris Johnson, like to get Paris Johnson, because the Bears are picking at pick number 9.
Yep. So what are you giving up?
So let's see. What do you think gets this deal done? Maybe around.
I'd say a second round pick gets this deal done.
This year, 41 or 70.
You could do 41.
41.
You could do 41. I think this gets the trade.
Yeah,
I think a second round pick. You're trying to
trade. What?
Maybe a second and a third, but
okay.
I think after seeing what the Lions gave up to move up to get Richardson, I don't think they gave up a third. I think maybe they swap thirds next year.
Yeah. Let's do thirds in 24. And then
I think they swap thirds in 20.
Thirds in 4. Okay. So
right, of course, this is your pick. That's 25.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not the greatest with trades. It's really hard to actually know with these things. So I'm going to take your advice.
You're the general manager.
I think they swap a 4th. I think Vegas gives up a 4th and they give up a 3rd and a 2nd.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Pick number 11 for pick number 7. Tennessee Titans move up. Pick number 41. So they give up pick number 11 and pick number 41 this year, and then they give up a round 3 pick next year in exchange for the Raiders' 7th pick and this year, and next year the Raiders' 4th round pick. So let's force this trade and move on. So Tennessee Titans are on the clock. We already said Paris Johnson. Let's go with that real quick. I'll get him up here. Paris Johnson. Right. Wow, he is down there.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Paris Johnson. Okay, number 8. What is your pick, man?
So here's the deal. There is still some really talented edge rushers. I still think it's too early on in the draft to pick a wide receiver for Atlanta. They could go Will Levis here, but I just don't think they're going to be as high on Levis. I think Levis falls later on in the draft. I am going with this pick. I am going Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa.
Okay. Wow.
I think that this is a
no
bold
corner.
pick.
No corner.
No corner. I think this is a bold pick. I really like the player out of Iowa. I think that Atlanta knows what they have at quarterback, and it's not great, but I don't think Atlanta is playing for the immediate success next year. They are building a team through the draft in hopes to probably land the number 1 overall pick. I think you get potentially one of the best edge rushers. He is risen up the draft boards majorly in the last couple of weeks, and I think they pick him ahead of people like Myles Murphy, who a lot of people have going in the top 10, but because of experience, I think Lucas Van Ness goes over him.
Yeah.
So that's my pick.
And that Iowa offense was terrible last year. It kind of overshadowed the good, really good. I mean, top 5 defense in the nation for Iowa. The only thing is, like, Nolan Smith could be up there too.
He could. And I think they very well could trade back and get a guy like Nolan, but for the sake of time, I'm not proposing a trade because I think they stick and they pick the best player available. And to me, the best edge rusher available at this pick is Lucas Van Ness. So who do you have at 9?
Number 9, I think it's got to be obvious. The Bears need offense. Well, okay, here's the thing. I've been going back and forth because Justin Fields, I saw a video on YouTube saying, who would you like them to pick? And they had Justin Fields said Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Of course, he played with him.
Njigba, really good slot receiver, not very good straightaway speed, doesn't have like super good 40 time. He's more of a slot receiver, really good route runner, good at getting open, good at high pointing the ball, good at just jump ball situations. And he's a guy, but he's not a super fast. I can pull up his 40 time here. I don't think I have it on hand.
But Fields would have played. I believe Fields played with Njigba Smith.
Oh, yeah. He did. The year that here's the thing though with the Bears though that I think separates them is Njigba has like almost missed all of last season with a hamstring injury. Yep. And his good year was in 2021. That's 1 year of.
Yep.
I mean, so I think he's going to drop a little bit here. I think it's close between who's going to go number 1 in the receivers. I think it's between Zay Flowers and Jackson Smith-Njigba. I mean, we can go into this later.
Question is, you're a general manager. Who do you have at 9?
Yeah, Peter Skoronski.
That's a good pick. Yep.
Yeah, lock it in. You wanted this pick, and I let you have it because it is your team.
Go Birds.
Guys. Philly at number 10.
So, if you're an Eagles fan, you know the Eagles build through the trenches, whether teams like it or not. You know, they have a lot of good players at their arsenal right now. I'm going Will Levis. I'm just kidding.
No.
I am not going Will Levis.
Fuck no, man.
I am going with, this is the obvious pick here. They could have gone potentially a guy like Skoronski and slot him in at guard. They could have gone Paris Johnson as a backup to Lane Johnson, but they just extended Lane Johnson. And I don't think they go offensive lineman this early on in the draft. They are going to be picking Kalijah Cansey, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. He is drawing Aaron Donald-like comparisons. I think Kalijah Cansey at 10 is honestly a steal. Early on this year, people had Brian Bresee out of Clemson going ahead of him. I don't think that's the case anymore because I think Kalijah Cansey, due to his crazy good combine and how he's drawing a lot of these pro comparisons to one of the best defensive linemen of all time, they're picking, this is a no-brainer pick. They're getting Kalijah Cansey at pick 10, and I think Eagles fans would be very happy to have him play along Fletcher Cox and the pick from last year that, of course, shocked the world because he was ultimately one of the best players in the draft, and that is, the name is completely slipping me, the guy from Georgia, Jordan Davis, defensive lineman. He's going to play against him. That would be one heck of a duo for years to come. So that's my pick. Now here's the question. Bold. You've got Oakland on the pick. If you're the general manager, who is your pick, Benjamin? I think you're on mute. You're on mute. Hold on a second. There we go. There you go.
Yeah, my mic was acting up a second ago. I thought it was fine, though. So here's the thing. If you're Kalijah Cansey, if you're the Eagles and Kalijah Cansey, I like this pick. I'll quickly give this guy, interior, he can play inside, outside. He needs to develop a little bit more pass rush moves for him to play outside. But the Eagles don't need an inside big defensive tackle. They need an interior rusher to replace
Javon Hargrave.
Javon Hargrave. He's on my team, and I still can't remember his name. So this is a great replacement. This guy could be dominant. He has power, and a lot of people say he's small. He is. He is. But we've seen, I think they were playing, I believe it was Tennessee. Yeah, I think it was. And they were running at him, and he's holding his ground and pushing players back and stuff like that. So he's a powerful, and the thing with him is he does not get his pad level high. The problem with defensive tackles a lot of times is when they get off the ball, their pad level is high, they get pushed around. This guy has perfect pad level and it's great strength. So I like the pick, Kalijah Cansey at 10. So number 11, I've got, let's see, they need O-line help. They need defensive line help. They need DB help. I think this is where Devon Witherspoon goes off the board. I really, really like
Or
this
do they
pick.
pick Will Levis?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. That's an
No,
interesting
you pick. You're
conversation
the.
as well.
This is a very
Well,
interesting
I originally
conversation.
had them, see, before the show, I originally had them trading down and saying, hey, we don't really need Will Levis at pick number 7 because nobody's going to draft him right now. So, I mean, Will Levis
No, you pick who you want to pick because
I
this has
don't
been
know. Well,
shaken up massively.
you come up with a good argument. Is it Will Levis or Devon Witherspoon?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Levis is a big guy, huge arm, has some accuracy issues in the 2 years that he played for Kentucky. He had 10 interceptions and 12 interceptions or 9 interceptions. So needs to handle but I mean, he can sit behind Jimmy G. But if you're the Raiders, there is no way that you let Jimmy G just play your team. I'm going to pick Will Levis. You brought up a good name because Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to stay healthy for the whole season. It's unrealistic. I think he's a bridge quarterback, and Will Levis could be starting by week 8. But then again, I mean, do you wait till pick number 38 to get Hendon Hooker? That's my question.
And you could.
So, I mean, I'll lock in Will Levis. Let's go Will Levis here. Yeah. I don't like this pick necessarily, but again, you don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's say you do. There's going to be a lot of teams vying in the second round. Let's say you can't get Will Levis. Let's say the Tennessee Titans try to. No, sorry, we already had. I mean, I don't know. There's going to be a ton of teams vying for Hendon Hooker. I wouldn't bank on you getting him in the second round, so just go with the safe option and Will Levis. What's your number 12 pick?
So at number 12, I have the Houston Texans doing this. You've got a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. He may be talented, but you have no help at wide receiver. I have the Houston Texans picking the best wide receiver, in my opinion, in the draft out of Ohio State, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I have them picking him to pair with Bryce Young. You've got a great rookie quarterback pair. You've got someone for the next 4 to 5 years or more, and more than likely the next 5 years. Plus, you've got a rookie quarterback and a rookie receiver bonding, making that bond.
Okay.
They didn't go to the same college, but yes, that's my pick. And who do you have at pick number 13?
13. We could see trades.
We could.
If you're the Commanders, you have pick number 16. Would you want to trade up here to this pick because again, the Commanders are looking for I think the Commanders are going to maybe try to draft a tight end. This is where you might see tight ends going because I think if you look at tight ends, I don't know if you've followed tight ends much, but Dalton Kincaid out of Utah is not really a tight end. He's a receiver almost. So this is a guy that I think possibly the Packers could pick. So if you're the Commanders, do you try to jump the Packers and the Patriots and try to get Dalton Kincaid, the consensus number 1 tight end, who's more like a receiver? Look him up. Or Michael Mayer.
I would argue to say this. If Will Levis is here at pick 13, and we don't know what the Packers are going to do, I could see potentially a realistic scenario where the Packers trade with the Jets, trade Aaron Rodgers, plus their pick for the Jets' 13th pick and maybe a second and a third. So I could see that being part of a move up because a lot of people say their Jets are not willing to part with their first round pick, but I don't think that's going to happen right now because I think Will Levis is ultimately, I think if you're the Packers and you've got the opportunity over the next 2 picks, one of these teams is not picking a wide receiver. You need a wide receiver for your quarterback. I am not interested in because Will Levis was picked. If I'm the Commanders, I'm not interested in moving up. I'm willing to sit back and I'm willing to get whoever's available. I am not willing to move up. And if I'm the Packers, I'm not willing to move up because at this point, one of those top 2 receivers is still going to be there. So you could do your own trade with the Packers. Obviously, you're the general manager for pick 15, but I am not interested in pick 16 and moving up.
Well, here's the thing. Do you like Broderick Jones enough at this pick Broderick Jones, good left tackle, athletic, probably enough to move to right tackle. The Jets need help at right tackle and left guard. We've seen, obviously, Broderick Jones, a guy that he's a smaller guy, and a lot of people are saying he's going to move to left guard. That's something that the Jets need as well. So do you look at Broderick Jones, or do you look at another receiver? Because that's another thing. Receiver here. Oh, okay. Receiver. I mean, you've got
Yeah,
Quentin
this is a big one
Johnston,
too.
Flowers. I really like Zay Flowers out of Boston College. Man, I don't know. Let me go with this pick, Dalton Kincaid from the tight end. He's a similar player. If you look at it, he's a very receiver type tight end. So let me go Dalton Kincaid at this pick. Again, if you're looking, I mean, he's going to be a safety blanket if they do get Aaron Rodgers. He's not necessarily a blocker, but I think Dalton Kincaid could be interesting at this pick. So
Wow,
let me
that's
get
a bold
Dalton
one.
Kincaid.
That's
What's
bold at
your
pick 13.
pick?
So at pick
Patriots
14, they
14.
could go a cute couple of ways. I also think if Will Levis is here at pick 14, they potentially would kick the tires on him. They could also pick the tires on the top tackle in the right now available. But I think they go defensive end or edge. Really, he's not a defensive end. Edge, Nolan Smith, and that's my pick. Edge Nolan Smith is my pick at 14. I think Bill Belichick, he's a defensive-minded coach.
Okay.
Yes, he could go offensive right here. He could try to pick the top receiver in the draft, but I don't think that's what happens. I think he goes with the defensive lineman, with the edge, Nolan Smith, and he's going to play a stand-up defensive end or a outside linebacker, depending on the formation they roll him out in. He is drawing Hassan Reddick comparisons. Hassan Reddick had, obviously, you saw a very, very good year for the Philadelphia Eagles this last year. I think this is a no-brainer pick here. You could see them going Myles Murphy, but I think they pick Nolan Smith just due to this fact that I believe he has a higher ceiling. So who is your pick at pick 15?
Okay, well, this I did not expect. Devon Witherspoon and all of the corners dropping this far. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
If you're, I mean, the Washington Commanders, I think if you pass up on Devon Witherspoon, you are kind of dumb. So I mean,
Especially with all the
need
good
help at
receivers
cornerback.
Sure.
Yeah,
But the question
they
is,
need
you
help at
have a big
cornerback.
decision to make because you've got a rookie. Essentially, he's not a rookie. He's played in. He's been sat behind Rodgers for a few years. But you have a player who really has not started very many games. And this is the interesting part: do they go defensive back, or do they to pair alongside Jair Alexander to make arguably one of the best cornerback duos, or do they go?
Yeah, I mean, best player available.
Ultimately, then that's the real question here. And I'm curious to see what you pick.
Yeah, safety is a little high here. The top safety right now, he's kind of a consensus top safety right now. Let's take off receiver before we go on. Brian Branch, and then after that, there's nobody really inside. So I think Brian Branch could be something here from Alabama. Had good numbers at Alabama, but he's really the only, and I think this would be almost a reach for Brian Branch.
Yeah,
I think
could agree with that.
You could go best player available in a lot of things. I'm going to go receiver though. And I want to sell you on a guy, Zay Flowers, man. Zay Flowers reminds me so much of Deebo Samuel. This guy is 5 foot, I believe he's 5'9", but he plays so much more than that. He plays like Deebo Samuel. He runs violent. And the thing with this guy is, man, he can go up and he can create jump ball catches. They also use him for motions behind the line of scrimmage before the snap. He's a very gadget player, but also he's a deep target. I mean, he averaged, I can look up real quick his numbers at Boston College were incredible. 12 games, 78 catches for 1,077 yards, which is incredible. That's a really, really good number there. Averaged 13.8 yards per catch and obviously 12 TDs. So had a lot of work at Boston College. And I agree with a lot of people. This guy, he's so good. I really like him. He's so good that I think if he were at Alabama, because he got drafted to Boston, was at Boston College, he's going lower. But because he's at Alabama, if he was at Alabama, he'd be going top 5 pick because this guy runs like Deebo Samuel. He's violent like Deebo Samuel. I like him at this pick with the Green Bay Packers. Get Jordan Love someone.
Yeah.
So, who's your pick number 16?
So pick number 16, this could go so many different ways, but because a lot of the top offensive linemen have gone off the board, and I think it's still a reach to get a guard or a center with this pick, I'm going the best player available, and for me, that's Devon Witherspoon. This is a no-brainer. You've
Okay.
got some really good receivers in the NFC East. You've got, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup. On the Giants are more than likely going to invest in offense more so than they already have. This is a no-brainer for me, and I think this is not even a question asked here. So who do you have at pick 17?
Yeah. I mean, this is where you could start to see a trade up. I think a lot of people are going to now be interested in the player Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. This guy was projected a third-round pick early and now has shot up the boards for Tennessee. Obviously, don't pay attention to that rank. I like Darnell Wright. This guy didn't really give up any sacks against Will Anderson when they played him. Obviously, Tennessee, that was the game of the year, Tennessee versus Alabama. One where Jalen Hyatt had five TDs there. So what's his name? Darnell Wright is a guy where maybe a team like you could see a team like maybe the Chargers who need help at right tackle. They have a left tackle, but who need help at right tackle. So I'm going to do a trade here. Chargers moving up to 17.
Wow.
Let's see. Let's get Los Angeles here. And I'm going to do 21 for 17. What, 5 picks would probably warrant a second round pick?
I
Maybe a
think at
second round
this
pick
late,
next year.
yeah, I would say maybe or a third, 2/3. But that's
I'm going to do
you're
a
gonna
second
have to.
round pick in exchange for a 5th round pick. So
I could see the fourth or fourth or fifth.
fourth or 5th. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This late in the draft, it's like 4th could get you 2 or 3 spots. So at this point, 2nd.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go. So Pittsburgh Steelers trade up. You've got pick number 21. The Chargers, Pittsburgh Steelers trade down to pick number 21. Chargers trade up to pick number 17. And they give up the number 21st pick and the round 2 pick for next year. And the Steelers give up the 17th pick and a round 4 pick for next year. So let's force this trade and let's keep going with the Los Angeles Chargers. They need a right tackle here, and this is exactly what I'm going to get them picking. Let's see. Darnell Wright. I really like this kid. Has
This is
probably
bold.
some of the best hands. I'm sorry, man. I am some of the best hands in this draft, man. Just great footwork, great hands. He's going to be a star one day. Who have you got at 18? I'd assume it would be maybe a wide receiver here.
So I actually have this. I have the fact I am not going wide receiver. I am proposing a trade to the Jacksonville Jaguars at pick 20, who
Okay.
currently sit at pick. Oh, sorry. I am proposing a trade for
24.
with the
I'll get it up.
Jacksonville Jaguars, who currently sit at pick 24. And if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, I am trading obviously pick 24 for pick 18. I am giving
18.
up.
Yep.
I'm giving up a third round pick this year.
This year. So pick 88
Yep.
or pick 120.
Yep.
No, that's 4th. Never mind.
Yep.
Pick 88.
Pick 88, and then I'm going a 4th round pick next year.
Okay. 4th round pick next year.
And I am offering this, and you can hit offer trade. They should accept it.
Yeah.
I think that the
Wow,
Lions
that's
will
a
have no
lot.
problem accepting
Oh
this
my
trade.
God.
But they're going to pick
Yeah.
the second best cornerback in the draft, and that is going to be Christian Gonzalez. I think they know they pick him. I think he's, Joey Porter could be the pick here. I don't think this would be the wrong pick to pick here, but because Gonzalez is available, I think Gonzalez goes ahead of Porter Jr. because of his physicality. And I think, I think this is a pick here, and this is the pick that they make to strengthen up their defense.
Joey Porter, I mean, I like what you're saying, which I just want to quickly blow back a little bit on this one. I mean,
Because I pushed back
Gonzalez
on
is
your
great,
Panthers pick.
but here's
I
the
would have
thing.
put Levis.
Here's the thing. Joey Porter, 6'2", okay? His 10-second split was 1.50, which is
It's
in the
insanely
87th
fast.
percentile, which is really good. Christian Gonzalez, 1.54, 10-yard split. So slightly slower. I think if Joey Porter was put in more man-to-man situations, and he can also play zone because he's a guy who drops back in zone, and when he read and reacts, and when he can make big plays, big hits, he reacts quick to zone, and he has a smart brains, and really, once he zones in on a defender, it's over for that guy because he hits hard. He's a physical corner. As well, he can also play man-to-man really well because he has the measurables, and he doesn't get beat too much. He only had 2 pass interference calls in 2022, Joey Porter
amazing.
Jr. So we'll pick Christian Gonzalez here, but I would strongly agree with you there. I think Christian Gonzalez on the tape tends to get a little bit handsy and is not as fast. And in zone coverage, he's definitely one of the lower cornerbacks there. Not a little slow in zone coverage, can be a little bit sluggish. We've got pick number 19. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some would say they would get a let's go to top players. So Quentin Johnston here is interesting.
Yeah, but you've got,
safety. You could get Brian Branch here. You could get Deonte Banks. I really like him out of Maryland. Let me see here. Okay. Offensive lineman. They definitely do need a left tackle or right tackle. The problem is, at this point, you have Anton Harrison, Broderick Jones. So those two guys are really the two consensus. Broderick Jones, left tackle. I don't know. That's a little bit of a reach. I think there's a lot better players available here. I'm going to get the rich get richer, and I'm going to go Quentin Johnston because he has really dropped in this draft.
That's bold.
It could be Quentin Johnston, or let's look at some other. I'm looking. I mean, I
think there's a big gap between Quentin Johnston and the next receivers if they're going to pick a receiver.
Yeah. Well, and Quentin Johnston reminds me a lot of DeAndre Hopkins. And the thing is he kind of reminds me of almost a tight end because his 40 time was fast. But then you look at the tape and it's like, this guy kind of plays like a mix between DeAndre Hopkins and Gerald Everett. You see what I'm saying? He's a dump off guy who isn't too fast, but can take it for 40 yards because he's just a big body. And I mean, when he gets downfield, the only concern about him is he's slow. So in man-to-man coverage, cornerback that's really good, jams you at the line. Can he win on the outside? But he's a great slot receiver that, I mean, the Buccaneers need a tight end, but this is the guy that, man, he could play tight end as well. And DeAndre Hopkins, when you see DeAndre Hopkins on film, this guy will body people, doesn't have the speed, but will body people and just is a force on the outside. That reminds me exactly of Quentin Johnston. So let's lock in Quentin Johnston, who I think is dropped. Oh, there we go. Okay.
So I have with pick number 20, they could go multiple ways, but I have them picking, if you had not picked Tyree Wilson, which I agreed at pick 5 was not a bad pick. That's who they picked, correct? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page as you.
So do you want to quickly go through a recap? Because I was going to do a recap after after the top 10, but I never ended up doing that. So do you want to quickly go through a recap?
Yeah, I'll do the recap. So at pick 1, the Colts selected CJ Stroud. At pick 2, the quarterback CJ Stroud. At pick 2, Houston Texans select quarterback Bryce Young. At pick 3, the Lions jump ahead of the Panthers to pick quarterback Anthony Richardson. At pick 4, Benjamin goes bold, and instead of picking Will Levis here, which would be my consensus pick, they pick Will Anderson at pick 4 in hopes they land a quarterback later on in the draft. At pick 5, the Seahawks pick defensive lineman Tyree Wilson. At pick 6,
Cardinals
the
get Jalen Carter.
Cardinals pick Jalen Carter. Pick 7, the Titans pick Paris Johnson, and I'll let you take away the rest of the picks.
Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, which is kind of wow. I mean, I did not expect you to do that. Number 9, the Bears pick, which is obviously the Falcons pick at number 8. Number 9, the Bears pick Peter Skoronski. Number 10, Kalijah Cansey. Number 11, Will Levis. The Eagles pick Kalijah Cansey at number 10. At number 11, the Raiders pick Will Levis at number 11, which they obviously traded down with Tennessee, who got Paris Johnson. The Texans get Jackson Smith-Njigba at number 12. The Jets get Dalton Kincaid at number 13 as kind of a receiver / tight end option here. And then you have Nolan Smith at number 14 going to the Patriots. You have Zay Flowers at number 15. I really like that pick. Boston College. You have Devin Witherspoon slipping, which is crazy. Going to the Washington Commanders in Illinois. The only concern real quick to him, 180 pounds. He's a lanky 5'11", 180. So like he's good and he's physical, but he needs to bulk up. Darnell Wright, the Chargers trading up to pick number 17. That's the Pittsburgh's pick. Pittsburgh trades down. Chargers trade up. Get Darnell Wright. That's a prospect I really like. Christian Gonzalez, number 18 with Oregon. Number 19, Quentin. Christian Gonzalez goes to Jacksonville, and then number 19, the Bengals get Quentin Johnston.
And that
real quick, do you want me to make the screen? Do you want me to make the screen bigger?
Oh, I mean, I can see this great.
Okay, good.
At number 19, I have them going interior defensive lineman. They did get the interior defensive lineman from the Broncos this year. Dermont Jones, I believe is his name. But I have them picking Brian Bresee. I could see this going Miles Murphy if they didn't pick Tyree Wilson, but I have them going Brian Bresee at pick 20. I think that this is a very solid pick. He's out of Clemson. He had a good year this past year. This is a pick that I think is ultimately probably was ahead of Kalijah Cansey up until recently. He's still a really good player. If you haven't heard his story, go check it out. It's pretty cool. And I picked Brian Bresee.
Here's my thing real quick is they already got a defensive lineman.
But they're stacking defense this year to surround Geno Smith. And let's go.
You don't think you don't think they go to Osiris Torrance, offensive guard from Florida?
I do not. I think that they'll pick a guard in the second round.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's true. There is a lot of guys there. So Brian Bresee, lock it in.
They could go Osiris Torrance with the second round. That is true, but
no, so Osiris Torrance is not making it out the first round. That guy's way too good.
So for picks 21 through 31, we are going to do rapid fire. I think, and we are going to, if you're good with that, let's spitball. 21. Who do you have?
Okay. Well, let's do that. Joseph, real quick, Grandizer 12. Joseph of the Cardinal Rule. It's Cards Mock Draft Monday. Okay, he's an Eagles fan, but
not really.
Well, wait. No, Grandizer is Joseph of the Cardinal Rule. It's Cards.
I think
Mock.
I think this must Monday. Be a show he's trying to promote.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, number 21, we have got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is finally where Broderick Jones goes off the board. They need a they really need to work on their whole offensive line. They have a decent left tackle, but Broderick Jones can play left guard, which they also need help on. So let's go Broderick Jones here. Here's your number 22.
So at number 22, I'll make this quick. I think the Ravens could go with Joey Porter Jr. because he's still available, but I think that they go with Miles Murphy. They need to help that defensive line out, and I think Miles Murphy is the pick here.
Yeah.
I think they really could roll either way. I think Joey Porter Jr. could go to the Ravens here, but I have Miles Murphy here at 22.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean,
Who do
he's
you
a guy who has kind of dropped because lack of inexperience, um, edge rusher. So yeah, that's a good pick. We have the Vikings here. So wow, the Vikings on the clock. You have wide receiver. Man, I think you have defensive lineman. You have cornerback. They need some needs. Wide receiver, because it's like you need somebody to the take the reins off guy of off of what's his name? Uh, oh my gosh, his name is escaping me. Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I agree.
Am I
That's a
here?
very possible pick.
Oh, okay, okay. Wait, am I here? Am I here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, good. Jordan Addison. I'm gonna go Jordan Addison, USC. This guy almost is higher than Quentin Johnston. He's fluid. He's lanky. He's a little bit small, so over the middle, I don't really know. But he played at Pittsburgh, had good numbers there. So Jordan Addison, lock it in. But I mean, I could see real quick before you make your pick. I could see the cornerback. I could see them getting Joey Porter Jr. because that is a drop. And Deontay Banks, both very good corners. So who's your pick number 24?
So I have them picking the second best tight end in the draft here. I think that they could also
Yeah,
go Joey
that's good.
Porter Jr. I have
Yeah.
them picking. They've got to replace T.J. Hawkinson. I think they bolster that O line. Sorry, I think they bolster that offense. They really could go Joey Porter Jr. But in the free agency this year, they went out and they got a couple of cornerbacks. I don't think they go defensive back here, even though you could see them go Joey Porter if he's still available. I think at this point Joey Porter is starting
Yeah.
to slip. So teams may just take of him as a pick because he's just going to be that good of a player. So I have them picking the top tight end in the draft, one of the top tight ends, Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame,
Michael Mayer.
and that's my pick.
Solid
Who do you have
pick.
at 25?
25. Wow. I mean, at this point, you need a safety. Brian Branch has
I
slipped.
think this
It's
makes
Joey
sense.
Porter, Brian Branch. Center, maybe. You get Cyrus Torrance. I like that pick. But you can't, I mean, they need secondary here.
They
They need
do, especially in
secondary
this
here.
NFC East division.
So let's get Brian Branch there. Although I really, really, really want to pick Joey Porter Jr.
So
there. So
on the clock, I have
28.
this is going to be bold at 26. I have the Cowboys replacing Ezekiel Elliott. This is a Bijan. This says Bijan Robinson all over it. I am picking Bijan Robinson at 26. I really don't think at this pick it's a reach. I think it would be in a reach if he was going inside the
Yeah.
top 20. Even though some Eagles fans want the Eagles to pick him at 10, I have the Dallas Cowboys selecting running back Bijan Robinson out of Texas, and that's my pick for 26. Who do you have at 27?
Yeah, solid pick. Catcher out of the backfield, really
Wow,
good. Pick number 27. This is no
this
doubt.
is crazy.
Well, they need a
Wow.
DB.
Well, they need a DB, and they could also go offensive
What?
tackle here. But wow, this is
It's
crazy if they were to land
crazy.
Joey Porter Jr. with their 26th pick. 27th pick.
Yeah.
Who
Are
are you
you
picking?
gonna have any trades anymore into the first
I do.
first round?
I have one
I
more
want to ask you
trade.
that.
I have one more trade. Yep.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go Joey Porter Jr. just because he's dropped literally so much, and this was my consensus number 2 corner behind Devin Witherspoon. Joey Porter Jr. lock it in. But now, if you're the Bengals, you could potentially. I mean, you need a tackle. You need a right tackle here. I would very strongly influence you to go Anton Harrison here or DeJuan Jones. What is your pick?
So I am going. So this is an interesting one because they went on, the left tackle out from the Bengals, from the Chiefs, sorry. And of course now Jonah, I can't think of his last name, but their original left tackle is now requested a trade out. They could very go Anton Harrison here. They also could go
Well, they
Banks out of
got
Maryland.
Orlando Brown. So
They got Orlando Brown. I'm not going O-line. I'm going defensive back, and I'm going
okay.
Banks out of Maryland.
Okay, that's a solid pick. Real quick, a scouting report on him. Plays press man-to-man coverage really well. Is a big-bodied guy and really just he finds ways to get the receiver towards the sideline, plays the sideline well. That's a really good pick. Deonte Banks.
So who do you have a pick?
Wow.
No, this
I mean,
is
they
an
needed
interesting
help.
one.
They needed help on the secondary.
Who do you have at pick 29?
So I could see them going. Okay, I mean, I could see them going tight end here. But the thing is the top 2 tight ends are out. Let me quickly look at the tight end.
There's the
Luke
tight end from
Musgrave. I
Georgia,
think
but I
that's a
just
little bit
think
of.
that he's too
Yeah, Darnell Washington. I
he's
mean, I like Darnell Washington, but
too much of
he's
a reach
a
here, probably.
sixth offensive lineman. He doesn't. I mean, a lot of his highlights were them rolling him out on bootlegs and like him just easy. Like he's not a great route runner. He's really not a fast route runner. So you'd be bringing him in to be like a good blocker, but he's huge. I mean, yeah, that if you can slim it, he needs to drop weight. I would say, yeah, I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna say they go out and get a inside offensive lineman,
Yeah,
Osiris Torrance.
that's a
Lock
good
it
pick.
in. This guy, man, that's good run blocker. That's a steal. That's a steal because I mean, if we would have been doing trades in the last like top 15, I would have probably traded up the Saints trading up to get Osiris Torrance. That's how good he is. I think there was the Bills here that could have gotten him. I think the Giants could have gotten him. I think the Vikings could have gotten him. So I think somebody's going to end up trading up for this guy. Number
So
30.
I have at pick, this is an interesting one. I have a pick number 30. The Eagles are going to trade out of this pick. They are trading with the Miami Dolphins. I would have initially said the San Francisco 49ers, but we saw a trade similar to this. They're going to trade with the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have locked.
Okay.
Yep, the Miami Dolphins have locked in at left tackle Teron Armstead, but they need desperately help at right tackle. And I think that this is pretty much a no-brainer here. They're going to trade this, the 51st pick this year, and round 2 next year. We saw a very similar trade like this when the Ravens wanted to move into the first round with the Lamar Jackson pick. I know it was for a quarterback, but we see typical trades. They are moving, the Eagles are technically moving a total of 22 spots up. So, they're moving 21 spots up. And so 21 spots for a second round pick, I think that's a very reasonable. I could see it being a third, but I think the Eagles aren't going to budge unless it's a second. So they'll have 3 second round picks next year if you're the Eagles fan. I think you can't complain with this. And I think instead of going the top tackle in the draft, they're going to go with Jawn Jones. And the reason why is because I looked up, and Anton Harrison really hasn't had much experience at right tackle. I think Jawn Jones here is probably one of the most talented offensive lineman in the draft. He's just green and needs to work on his on his skills a little bit more. But I think Jawn Jones would be a great pick here and ultimately shores up your offensive line to hopefully help Tua out a little bit more this year. That is my pick. Jawn Jones, tackle out of Ohio State. Who do you have with the last pick to finish off this show?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I will say that Jawn Jones, real quick. Jawn Jones, I was looking into him because he's risen. He had a very good pro day. Not pro day. Senior Bowl. This guy, once he gets his arms on you, I mean, he's not mobile in the run game, but once he has long arms, once he gets once he gets his arms on you, very good guy. I mean, that right tackle position, Grandizer can attest to this. That right tackle position was atrocious last year. So I love that pick to go up and get Jawn Jones. So this is interesting. The Chiefs, do you get Anton Harrison? That's a guy that you got the guy from what's the guy from the Jaguars?
Jawan Taylor from the Jaguars.
The right tackle.
Yeah, but he's left. He's playing
They
left.
want to move him to left tackle.
Ooh.
Really? You think it's locked in that he is?
Well, no, I think it's locked in that he's moving to left tackle, but that's a really good point. Do you keep him at right tackle? I don't think they do, but I'm relying on you to make the last pick as the general manager in the first round of the NFL draft.
Josh Downs is interesting. I looked at a little bit of Josh Downs' film. He's a speedster. Kind of a guy who is a Tyreek Hill type player.
And they're losing McCole Hardman and Juju Smith-Schuster. This would be not a bad pick either.
Yeah, and he's had great stats at and just a deep threat, so that wouldn't be bad. I'm gonna go wide receiver here. Now let me quickly look before we get out of here. Let me quickly look at D-line because I want to see what's left there.
I could see them picking McDonald.
That's good too. I'd watch them at Michigan.
Could see them. Yeah, I could see them picking McDonald as well with this pick. I know we're focusing a lot on the 31st pick, but I could see them picking McDonald here. That would not be the worst pick to try to strengthen their
Yeah.
defensive lineman. He's a defensive end. But I will rely on you here.
Hold on.
Yeah, he's the edge out of
Let me
Iowa
look.
State.
Will McDonald. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really could go.
I like
It could be a toss
Demasi
up
Smith.
here.
He's a powerful guy in the middle.
I do too.
Yeah. He's a powerful guy in the middle, Mozzie Smith, who, I mean, he's the reason why Michigan won a lot of games when Michael Morris, sorry, for Michigan edge was out. Jalen Hyatt is another guy. But it's between Jalen Hyatt. I really like Hyatt. The problem is like Hyatt is basically a deep threat, and that's it. Like, and he's not that good over the middle. I'm gonna actually go Jalen Hyatt here. That might be a hot take, but Jalen Hyatt here.
This whole draft has been a hot take, brother.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. He has a bigger body, can go up and get grabs downfield, and it kind of reminds me of like a Juju Smith-Schuster type player. So do you want a speedster guy in Josh Downs or a Jalen Hyatt guy in Tennessee? I'd have to scout these two players. Jalen Hyatt versus Josh Downs. I'm going to go Jalen Hyatt here.
Wow.
So
to cap
that's
off
our
the
first
draft,
round, guys.
That is amazing.
So let me just quickly recap here before we get out of here. Grading your draft. It might not.
Yeah. No,
okay.
It just gives you the results. You could look at the final results if you click full results.
Yeah. Okay, so recap. You want to do it real quick?
Yeah, so at pick 1, I picked CJ Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. Who did you pick at pick 2?
Bryce Young, baby.
At pick 3, I picked who did you pick? Because you helped
I had
this pick
Anthony
as well.
Richardson.
Sorry, I picked pick 2. My bad.
Yeah. Well, I was like, what the? Anyways,
pick 3 and 4. Who did you pick? It was actually pick
3
and 4 and 5.
I had Anthony Richardson. Kind of a hot take there. I'm kind of starting to regret this. But hey, it's not a hot take because there were so many people saying Anthony Richardson, and I love Anthony Richardson. So
I would have picked Levis at 4, but who did you pick?
Will Anderson. Man. Okay, but here's the thing. If the Panthers were to pick Will Levis, you trade down. You trade down, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I think
you want to trade down farther? I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's what they could do.
I do agree that I think this was very bold in the first 5 picks.
Yeah, of you. Like, why would you pick? Why would you trade down from the number 1 pick?
I don't think that you would trade up to the number 1 pick unless you were trading down to guarantee you get one of the top 3 quarterbacks. I think I tend to agree with you that the Panthers probably would have traded with the Cardinal. I mean, the trade with a team to go to pick 3 probably. But yeah, keep going. Who did you pick at pick 5?
Yeah. Pick 5. Tyree Wilson, really like him. Second best. I mean, they could have gotten guard, but I think it's interesting because later on in the round, you had them getting another defensive lineman, which I thought was interesting. I thought you were going to pick Osiris Torrance, which would have been my pick. Who have you got at number 6?
Pick 6.
Jalen Carter.
Arizona Cardinals take a chance on Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia, arguably the second best player in the nation. Who do you have at pick 7?
Paris Johnson, an athletic left tackle, badly needed for the Titans. They traded up into Las Vegas's pick. Las Vegas traded down to 11.
At pick 8, I picked Lucas Van Ness. He was the Falcons' pick. He is the edge rusher from Iowa.
Steamy pick. Well, okay, that sounded so wrong. Hot take pick. I mean, I don't know. Peter Skoronski. Left tackle from Chicago. They need all sorts of help. They need inside interior offensive line, so you could move him all across the offensive line. I think that's how good he is. Peter Skoronski at pick number 9.
At pick number 10, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Kalijah Cansey, defensive lineman out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, great pick. Love that pick. Will Levis. So the Raiders trade down to a number 11 and get Will Levis at number 11. They say, screw it. We're going to get a guy in the first round to back up Jimmy G.
At pick 12, the Houston Texans back up their superstar in the making quarterback Bryce Young out of Alabama, and they pick Jackson Smith-Njigba, top wide receiver out of Ohio State University.
Jets get a great player here. I really like that pick that you made. Dalton Kincaid, more of a receiving tight end, but yeah, Dalton Kincaid nevertheless at pick number 13.
At pick number 14, I have the New England Patriots selecting Nolan Smith, edge rusher out of Georgia. And
Yeah, Nolan Smith, great player. The only concerns is in the run game. How will he hold up because he is a smaller guy?
Yep.
Kind of reminds me of Frank Clark, honestly, his
Yeah.
body type. For sure. I can get the exact, I was looking this up a few weeks ago. I can get the exact measurables, but I don't have it up in front of me. Obviously, guys, if you're part of the Kamper Report, I will be posting a few videos on a few of these guys that I really like. Nolan Smith will be one of them, so stay tuned for that, these breakdown videos. Zay Flowers at number 15 from Boston College, slot receiver. You can do a lot of things with him. Physical, Deebo Samuel comp. Yeah.
At pick 16, I have the Washington Commanders selecting Devin Witherspoon, the top defensive back in the draft out of Illinois.
Yes, very good pick. We had a lot of cornerbacks slipping.
We did.
That was the
That was
biggest
the
hot
biggest
take of all.
bold. It was.
I had the Chargers trading up to pick number 17 with Pittsburgh and getting probably one of my favorite tackles in the draft, Darnell Wright. Look him up, from Tennessee. Pick number 18.
Pick number 18, I had the Jacksonville Jaguars trading with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions trade back. Jacksonville Jaguars trade up to select arguably one of the best defensive backs in the college football right now, and that's Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. They could have gone Joey Porter here, but I selected Christian Gonzalez ahead of him. Who did you pick at 19?
Quentin Johnston goes to the what's his name's the Buccaneers. They need her tight end, but this is kind of a bigger slot receiver that could turn into DeAndre Hopkins and Baker Mayfield. You're going to be really, really excited.
At pick 20, I have the Seattle Seahawks picking interior defensive lineman Brian Bercia out of Clemson.
Second,
who do you have at 21?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
anyways, Broderick Jones from the Steelers. Broderick Jones. So the Steelers obviously get LA's pick, and they get Broderick Jones out of Georgia. Good left tackle, can play left guard, and also played a little bit of right guard at the beginning of his career. So you can move him along the line. That's a good pick there.
At pick 22, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Myles Murphy. They could have selected a receiver here, but I still have them selecting Myles Murphy, and they could have also selected Joey Porter Jr., but yeah, Myles Murphy, defensive lineman, edge out of Clemson University.
Really like that pick. 23. Jordan Addison out of USC going to the Vikings. That will pair nicely to and replace, obviously, Adam Thielen. So he's an agile guy and long arms, can go up there, get grabs. So really nice player beside Justin Jefferson, who got 24.
At 24, I have the Detroit Lions, who traded with the Jacksonville Jaguars to move back in the draft. They are selecting tight end Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, and that is to replace the hole that TJ Hawkinson left when he left to go play for rivals Minnesota Vikings. Who do you have at pick number 25?
Brian Branch. They need help in their secondary. He's a safety who actually played a little bit of slot as well. Look him up at Alabama. He can. He's athletic enough to rotate, so that's a key pick. And
Giants quick, get a key pick.
Yeah, real quick, Detroit. That is a great draft there because you get a receiving tight end and you get a quarterback of the future there. So love those two picks. They won the draft here. Who you've got?
26th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Bijan Robinson out of Texas. Running back for Texas, had a great year. Check out my weekly news sports report on the Long John podcast on Instagram, where I highlight Bijan Robinson and all the statistics that he had throughout his career, which was very, very talented. That is my pick at 26. Who do you have a pick at 27? I think the Bills may win the draft with this pick.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen. I think he's going to go second or third way earlier. And I think if the Bills were to get this guy, they would have to trade up. But for time concerns, which I totally agree, Joey Porter Jr., they need help at DB. That's literally that. They have very few needs, but yes, this is one of them after losing a very good, actually they kept Brian Hoyer. So, but I still think they do need DB. Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State, cornerback.
At pick 28, I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting Deontay Banks out of the defensive back / cornerback out of Maryland to fill the hole that they have 2 impending free agent cornerbacks that they have not yet signed in Eli Apple and Brandon Flowers. That's my pick at 28. Who do you have at 29?
Pick number 29, Osiris Torrance, guard out of Florida. That will shore up their offensive line, which they badly need help out. This guy is a beast, and I think he will go earlier than this. But again, Saints get an absolute steal here.
At 30, I have the Eagles trading out of the first round, giving up the first round pick to the Miami Dolphins, who select their right tackle of the future, arguably one of the most talented offensive linemen in the draft, Jawn Jones out of Ohio State, to play alongside or opposite to Teron Armstead. And who do you have to finish off the draft?
So this was kind of a debate. Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee. It was between him and Josh Downs. I couldn't really decide, so I just went with my gut. Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee, guys. So that's our mock draft.
And hello to my wife, Anna. She is hand. I said hello to my wife, Anna. She's hand pink waving. There you go. Shout out to my wife. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Well, guys, this has been really great. Thank you so much, Benjamin, for tuning in. I have had an absolute great time over the last hour and 20 minutes. Check out Benjamin's Twitter and YouTube channel. Benjamin, you can tell them where to find you, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Kamper Report on YouTube, link in the description there. And then Kamper One Report on Twitter also will be in the description. And then Joseph, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, you can go check out Joseph Kamperman, the Long John podcast. Highly recommend it. He's starting up. Go show him some love. Long John podcast on YouTube. Links in the description there. What have you got coming out real quick to just quickly advertise your channel? I do this with every guest, and yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me on TikTok at the Long John Podcast and Instagram at the Long John Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at the Long John Pod. You also can view all of my weekly shows at the Long John Podcast on YouTube. I come out with a weekly sports news report every Sunday, which highlights the topics that I'm going to talk about in Tuesday's videos, which this will air on my Apple and Spotify podcast at the Long John Podcast as well. You can check those out every week. They air on Tuesday. And yeah, I've got some exciting content coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to have a few guests on. I'm trying to have between 1 and 2 guests per month. I've got some exciting guests coming on the show soon. And one thing I'm really excited is I don't just stick with the NFL sports. I stick with NBA. Yeah. I even dove as far as to European soccer last week, which was an exciting conversation. So check out me on all those social medias. I really appreciate your support. And also I appreciate you guys tuning in for this mock draft that we basically titled and went along with it. We created an NFL mock draft. It might be a disaster for the Carolina Panthers. I think it may have been a disaster, but thank you, Benjamin, for tuning in. And yeah, until next time, guys.
Yeah, until next time, everyone. Again, go check out our handles. We'll see you guys again later, and let me know what you think. Obviously, before we end this, I will be posting this on Twitter. So let me know on there what you guys think of this mock draft. See you guys later. Go Niners. And in this case, go Eagles as well.
Yes, sir.